Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to go over stock splits and how to work back to calculate what the price was back in the past for a stock that split its shares. So a good example here is Microsoft. So if you go back to 1986 when they first issued their stock, on Yahoo Finance you'll notice the stock price shows 10 cents. But you'll notice it says adjusted for splits. The closing price is adjusted for splits. So it really wasn't 10 cents. So what if you want to work backwards and see what Microsoft's stock price actually was back then? So I'm going to show you how we can do that. And for this, I'm going to use data from stocksplithistory.com, which has a list of the date that Microsoft did the stock split, as well as the ratio. So you can see in 87, it did a 2-for-1, then a 2-for-1 in 1990, then a couple 3-for-2s, and then a bunch of 2-for-1 splits in the 90s, with the last one being in 2003. So I'm just going to copy this table into my Excel spreadsheet. And right now this is in text. I'm just going to convert this into a number. So I'm going to say factor of 2. So it's going to be 3 over 2. And the rest are 2. And so that's basically what I need to multiply or divide by to work backwards or forwards, depending on the direction I'm going in. And next, I'm gonna just for reference use the CNBC article, which shows that the first trade for Microsoft took place at 25.50. So that's our starting point. 25.50 is what it was. So that 10 cents that Yahoo Finance shows really should be around 25.50 or maybe somewhere around there, more or less. So if our starting price was 25.50, I'm just going to leave that here and use that to work backwards to see how did 25.50 become 10 cents. And with the stock split, how it works is you effectively get, in this case, if it's a 2-for-1 split, you get 2 shares for every stock that you own. So if you own 10 shares, you have 20 shares. It doesn't mean you got richer. Your investment actually stays the same, but you get more shares and the stock price goes down. So if it was 25.50, 1986, then with this stock split, this price would have been cut in half by factor 2. So by that point, you have twice as many shares, but the problem is your stock price is now only worth $12.75, right? So your investment's unchanged with the stock split. And then again, a further reduction and so on and so forth. So as you can see, now we get to this 0.09, roughly 0.09.10. I mean, there's going to be some rounding here just because Yahoo Finance only goes to 2 decimal places. So the fact that it shows 10 cents for all of those days on around March tells you that there's probably going to be some impact of rounding here. It's unlikely that Microsoft actually stayed at 10 cents and closed or whatever the price was and it didn't move, right? So that's not likely the case. So it's probably just some rounding in there. But as you can see, by starting at that starting price that we got from that CNBC article, 25.50 divided by 2 divided by 2 divided by 1.5 and so on and so forth, you can see that working backwards or working to the present through all those stock splits, we have to divide every single time by each one of those factors. Now, if we wanted to calculate what the cumulative effect of that is, rather than going one jump at a time, we can just basically multiply all these against each other, right? So we're going to multiply 2 by 2 by 1.5, all these numbers. So that gives us a cumulative effect of 288. So if we're to factor in all these stock splits, it's 288. So basically we take 25.5 divided by 288, that's 9 cents. So that's the effect of that stock split. By splitting so many times, that's what 25.50 would be worth after all those splits. Now on the flip side, you might be wondering, okay, what would Microsoft stock be worth today? Or what would it price that today, I should say, if it never had a stock split in its history? So right now it's about $249. Okay, so today's price is $249. And so if there were no stock splits, then all we're doing is basically taking this 249 and multiplying it by 288. And so it'd be about $71,000. So it'd be, similar to Berkshire Hathaway, which, doesn't do stock splits. And, be the same thing, a really, really expensive, highly priced stock. And so you can start to see why companies might want to do stock splits is for reasons like this, because a stock like Microsoft has done so well. That's gone from, $25.50 to, effectively $71,000 before factoring in for the splits. It would put it out of reach for a lot of people unless they really want to own 0.005 shares of Microsoft or whatever the case may be. It's a lot easier to use these stock splits to bring it down to a lower price, and where it's easier for people, especially investors who can't buy fractional shares, to buy 5 or 10 shares of Microsoft without mortgaging their house or spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so if you're taking today's price and working backwards to see what it would have been back then, you need to multiply by all these factors, because effectively the price was cut by a half, by 1.5, by 2 multiple times. And so by multiplying it, you're reversing that and working backwards to get to that starting point. In the case of Yahoo Finance, though, it's putting it in perspective of the stock splits that have already happened. So it's taking that starting price, in the case of Microsoft, $25.50, and then after all these stock splits, this is what that value would be worth, or what that price would be today after all those stock splits. So depending on which direction you're going to, if you're going in the past, you're going to multiply by that cumulative effect. And if you're bringing a previous price into the future, then you're going to divide by it to factor in for all those stock splits. So hope that wasn't too hard to follow. But basically, the main thing to remember is that you want to look at these stock splits, whether 2 for 1, 3 for 2, whatever the case, put them into decimal format like this, and then calculate what that cumulative impact is by just multiplying all these. And then again, you're just going to either multiply or divide, depending on the direction you're going in, to work backwards or to work forwards, what that share price would be either today or in the past.